Hi friends, I am Dr. Warlu, personal development trainer, leadership coach, consultant nutritionist and psychologist.
The meaning of my communication is the response I get from people. The hearer receives what you say through his mental map of the world. When someone hears something different from what you meant, you should understand that is what he received. Then you have to communicate with him or her according to his mental map of the world. Traditional communication often concentrates on the message, the medium, and all the technicalities of correct presentation, but ignores the outcome. What you actually want to achieve. If your communication does not bring about your desired response or outcome, you are wasting a lot of time and effort. An effective communication has to focus on the response it produces. When you want to communicate with a person, start with your outcome. What do I want to achieve from this communication? To inform, impress, entertain, or educate. To do this, you will have to put yourself in the other person's shoes and imagine what effect different words, media, or behavior might have on them. This means crossing from your map to theirs. Such an approach will certainly produce rapport between the communicator and the receiver. Such rapport will certainly take you towards a successful communication outcome. If you want to become an expert communicator, you should understand the process of communication. Communication is more than the content. It is more than the words you speak. Communication is the combination of three important elements which make up the communication process. These elements are the words we speak, how we speak them, our voice, tone, tempo, and volume, and three, our non-verbal body language, gestures, and facial expressions. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, a renowned linguist, had done a great deal of research on communication. According to his research, words carry 7% communication, vocal qualities carry 38% communication, and body language carries 55% communication. This means that up to 93% of the communication process is not the words we use. It takes more than just words to express ourselves. All communication produces a response. The question is whether you are getting the response that you want. If you notice what you are saying is not giving you the desired outcome, you have to change your communication process in some way. Your voice tone, what you talk about, your syntax, or your body movements. Then the hearer will respond accordingly. When we discover that the response we receive differs from the response we want, we should shift the triggers and stimuli we offer to get the desired outcome. Human nature is not the same in all persons. Each person operates out of his or her own model of the world. We all navigate and make decisions based on our maps. Most of our maps come from early childhood and become installed through cultural, family, educational, and religious influences. If we internalize the paradigm that the meaning of my communication is the response I get from people, we don't blame others. We become more flexible and respect others and get the desired outcomes. Paradigm number 12. No one or nothing can hurt you without your permission. If somebody scolds you, you feel hurt. Words do not really hurt you. The meaning you give to those words hurt you. Similarly, no incident can hurt you. The interpretation hurts you. If somebody says you are a useless fellow, that is his opinion. It need not be a fact. It's not what happens that hurts you. How you respond to what happens makes or mars your life. There is an old Chinese Taoist story that describes a farmer in a poor country village. People in that village considered he was very lucky because he had a horse and he used him for plowing his land and transportation. One day his horse ran away. All his neighbors exclaimed how terrible it was, but the farmer simply said, maybe. A few days later, the horse returned home and brought two wild horses with it. The neighbors all rejoiced at his good fortune and said, you are very lucky. The farmer usually said, maybe. The next day, the farmer's son tried to ride one of his wild horses. The horse threw him and broke his leg. The neighbors all offered their sympathy for this misfortune. But the farmer again said, maybe. The next week, conscription officers came to the village to take young men for the army. They took all the young men in that village with them, but they rejected the farmer's son because of his broken leg. When the neighbors told him how lucky he was, the farmer as usually replied, maybe. What does this story tell us? The meaning that any event has depends upon the frame in which we perceive it. When we change the frame, the meaning will change. Having two wild horses is a good thing until it is seen in the context of the son's broken leg. The broken leg seems to be bad in the context of peaceful village life, but in the context of conscription and war, it suddenly becomes good. This is called reframing, changing the frame in which a person perceives events in order to change the meaning. When the meaning changes, the person's responses and behavior will also change. The meaning of any experience in life depends upon the frame we put around it. If you change the frame or the context, the meaning will immediately change. One of the most effective tools for personal change and empowerment is learning how to put the best frames on any experience. Many times, there are opportunities to make our lives exactly as we wish them to be. There are ways to see our biggest problems as our greatest opportunities only when we can step out of our past conditioning and trained patterns of perception. How we feel about something and what we do in the world are dependent upon our perception of it. A signal has meaning only in the frame or context in which we perceive it. We say this happened, so this means that. In actuality, there are an infinite number of ways to interpret any experience. We tend to frame things based upon how we have perceived them in the past. Many times, by changing these habitual patterns, we can create greater choices for our lives. Please remember that perceptions are creative. If you perceive something as a liability, that is the message we deliver to our brain. Then the brain produces states that make it the reality. If we change our frame of reference by looking at the same situation from a different point of view, we can change the way we respond in life. We can change our representations or perceptions about anything and in a moment change our states and behaviors. That is what reframing is all about. It is important to note that our past experiences regularly filter our ability to see what is really happening in the world. There are multiple ways to see or experience any situation. The key to success in life is to consistently represent your experience in ways that support you in even greater results for yourself and others. Reframing in its simplest form is changing a negative statement into a positive one by changing the frame of reference used to perceive the experience. Leaders and all other great communicators are masters of the art of reframing. They know how to motivate and empower people by taking anything that happens and making it a model for possibility. There is a valuable lesson in everything that happens. The winners are the ones who learn the lesson and put the most empowering frame on outside events. When you believe in the paradigm, no one or nothing can hurt me without my permission, you will not get upset or depressed when something happens contrary to your expectations. You will take responsibility for your life. You will not depend on the circumstances. Your bouncing back ability will increase tremendously. You will feel that happiness does not depend on chance but on choice. Then you will find much more juice in your life. Paradigm number 13. You cannot hurt anyone without hurting yourself first. Destructive emotions such as anger, hatred, and jealousy don't hurt others. They hurt you. They can make you sick. When you are bad tempered, some toxins are released in your blood. They cause ulcers in the stomach, indigestion, sometimes migraines also. Show big heartedness when people cause you inconvenience. For example, you are driving your vehicle and a taxi driver or an auto rickshaw fellow cuts in front of your vehicle and goes off very fast. Naturally, how do you react in this situation? You tend to get angry with him, want to chase him and teach him a lesson. Until you reach him, you will be very tense and your blood will be boiling like oil with anger, and many destructive toxins are released in your blood. There is no guarantee that you can catch him. Even if you catch him and quarrel with him, there will not be any use. If you abuse him, he will abuse you back. If you tear his shirt, he will do it back to you. After that, the whole day will get spoiled. If you forgive him and forget it with big heartedness, you will be elevated. That fellow may have a big family, and if he makes a trip extra, he can make a little extra money to feed his large family. Show big heartedness. Do you know what causes quarrels? 99% of the time, quarrels start over petty, unimportant matters. One day you go home tired after a lot of work at the office. Dinner is not good at home and you will complain. Your wife was not well that day, so she will defend herself with, "What do you expect on my food budget? You give me very little money. How can you expect sumptuous food?" Or she may say, "I could cook better if I had the electric cooker like everybody else." This insults your pride, so you attack with, "It's not lack of money. It is simply you don't know how to manage." Both of you resort to all sorts of accusations before you stop quarreling. In-laws, money, premarital and postmarital promises, and other issues will come into the scene. Little things and petty things cause arguments and quarrels. Small thinking about unimportant things like seeing your name lost on the invitation card or getting invited by phone instead of the person coming to your home and inviting you in person can hurt you. If you remember the paradigm, no one can hurt me without my permission, can hold you back. Keep your eyes focused on your big goal. In marriage, the big goal is peace, happiness, and tranquility, not winning quarrels or arguments. In working with employees, the big objective is developing their full potential, not making issues out of their minor errors. In living with neighbors, the big goal is mutual respect and friendship, not quarreling over petty things. Before complaining, accusing, reprimanding someone, or launching a counterattack to let your steam out, ask yourself, is it really important? In almost all cases, it isn't important. Ask yourself, is it really important if your husband or wife forgets to put the cap on the toothpaste or is late in coming home? Is it really important if he or she wastes a little money or invited some people home you don't like? When you feel like taking negative action, ask yourself, is it really important? Asking this question will put you in resourceful state and you can avoid frustration over petty matters. Then 90% quarrels and fights will never take place. Please remember, you cannot hurt anyone without hurting yourself first.
Friends, to achieve any big things in life, we need health and energy most. Take care of your health and energy.
I strongly believe people of your kind appreciate this video. If so, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you very much.